Welcome back to our 60-second episode of the Launch Your Farm Show, where I interview Sherri Johnson with Sherri Johnson Coaching. In this episode, Sherri and I talk about why there are a ton of opportunities with MicroFarms and what you can do to get your share. Sherri also shares how you can generate leads without even having a sale on your farm using her MicroFarm approach. Then we talk about what you can do to build a solid system that helps you generate leads and get more deals from your listings in your farm. And Sherri shares a super easy script that helps you get more referrals from your sphere and your farm. And we talk about how to nurture leads so that you are the only person that they call when they're ready. Plus, a ton of other ideas that you can use to grow your geographic farm. So be sure to check out this episode, like and subscribe, and enjoy the episode with Sherri. Welcome back to another episode of the Launch Your Farm Show. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and today we've got a great guest. It's Sherri Johnson from Sherri Johnson Coaching. So Sherri, take a second, tell us a bit about yourself and why you're here.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me. I am Sherri Johnson from Sherri Johnson Coaching, and I am a national real estate coach, consultant, and keynote speaker, and founder of Sherri Johnson Coaching. We offer one-to-one coaching for agents, teams, and broker owners and executives throughout the country. So I'm just excited to be here. This is a great topic for us to be talking about. I love this topic.
Yeah, I spoke with your audience, which is awesome. We have a mutual love for farming, and I think it's awesome to share different ideas and strategies and how people can do farming. So I want to dive into some of the things you do, but before we do that, let's talk about how you got into the business, how you got here, and kind of who you are.
Yeah, so I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised in the North Coast, and I got my real estate license. I actually my parents were building a house, and my mother introduced me to the builder's son. It's kind of a funny story, and his dad just used to say, "You should be selling houses, kid, every single weekend at dinner." And I was in the commercial printing industry. My parents had started a company very successfully. And I used to say, I'm never selling houses. I mean, we're in a family business. And so my parents sold the business. I got into consulting, and I was a kind of in-house trainer, consultant. My degree is in leadership development and business administration. So I got my real estate license sort of just to get it. And I remember my mom saying, if you don't even use it, you'll just have it. And I kind of hit the ground running in 1996, I guess it was. So this is end of my 25th year, 26th year. And so I sold for, let's see. So this is kind of funny. After my first year, I said, I want to be a national speaker, coach, and consultant one day. That was in 1990. That was after my first year. So it was like 96, 97. And so I took off running. I had a condo payment. I was 26. I had a condo payment, a car payment. And I always say I had a huge shopping habit, I think I still have the huge shopping habit, of course, if I'm honest. But, and my dad said to me, you may not sell a house for 6 months. So you might want to get another job. And I was like, Dave, if I don't sell a house in 6 months, I'm not doing this. So I needed to come up with something. And so really fear of failure and just I had to make money. I sold 5 houses my first month.
Wow.
And I was off and running, in this crazy business. And I mean, that was right before the internet. I mean, we really didn't we still had MLS books when I got my license, but I did 3.5 my first year, and then I jumped to 5, and then I did 7 or 8, and then I did 14. And I was just growing the business. And I think I sold for 10 years at the end of that. And then our company was purchased by a really great company from Pittsburgh called Howard Hanna Real Estate. They bought the company I was with. We had 2,000 agents.
Wow.
I was in, I think, I aspired to be in the top 25, and gratefully, I can tell you, I just made it, and I was so excited to get into that group. Then we got bought, and I knew that I was going to be, I was hopeful and sort of determined to be on the leadership team and the management team with that company. And so I about a year later, I became one of the branch managers, and I ran several offices and led those offices and recruiting and training and coaching. And so at the end, I had 750 agents. I was the West regional executive for the company. And, we were able through these strategies and coaching to grow from 600 million. I had 13 offices on the west side of Cleveland, and we had in Ohio, and we went from 600 million to 1.7 billion in
Wow.
4 years.
That's awesome.
And all of it really intentional and on purpose. And through coaching and training agents, doing farming, having, the systems that I put in place for growing and doubling and tripling agents' business. But it was a great run. I was there through 2017, actually the spring of 17. I jumped off the cliff and I started Sherri Johnson Coaching in March of 17. Actually, that's not true. I started it in May of 17. I took 2 months off and just kind of, figured out what I was going to do. And, I'm a single mom with my kids. So we had like a little bit of downtime, and then I just jumped into this business and this company. But we offer, Sherri Johnson Coaching has just been a dream come true. I coaching agents, going from 6 million to 60 or anything in between. And I love when people go from 1.5 million to 6 million in 1 year.
Yeah.
So all of this has been really kind of an awesome ride of just, whatever you want to do in life, you can do it. You have to be the first person to believe that. And, keynote speaking is one of my favorite things to do. And now we're doing more of that. But just making an impact and helping people grow in this business has been an absolute passion, but an absolute blessing. I get to do this. And so it's been fun. It's been a little over 4.5 years. And we coach teams, we coach broker owners, we do huge consulting jobs where I have to, infuse myself into their companies. And then we coach individual agents, new agents, just wanting a better plan. It's all been really fantastic. And it's just really the beginning because, we plan on having 2-day events around the country and stuff like that. But it's just been an absolute dream come true to put together our academy, the online academy we have. It's just been it's been a love, and it's been the easiest and hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's been a real fun ride. But I can tell you that, there's nothing more rewarding than watching someone go from, making $65,000 a year to making $350, or from 150 to making 5 or 6 or 700,000, or even 7 figures. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been, it's just such a gift to be able to do this, and I don't take it lightly. I'm so grateful, really. That it's the best way I can say it's just being useful and helping others. And it's just been fun. Been a blast. And I get to meet people like you,
That's true.
who share that same passion for real estate. And so thanks for having me. It's gonna be fun.
That's awesome. So one of the things that you teach and how you help people do that is through farming. And one of the things you really are passionate about is microfarming. And that's one of the things I talk about as well, is that there are some opportunities within farms, and I call them micro opportunities. You call it microfarming, and that a lot of people look at farming and they think that they have to commit to this massive farm and they have to spend a ton of money and do all these things. And when you look at smaller opportunities, there's actually more opportunity for you to do it correctly. So talk us through your microfarming and what that looks like and how agents can grow from that.
Yeah, it's a really, I think what happens is agents we all overcomplicate things, right? So we get to the point where we're like, I have to farm the whole neighborhood. Well, you can, but you can also go microfarm and go deep and really talk to somebody instead of just, hoping these leads just show up. I mean, we have an opportunity with every single listing or sale that you have. Or if you haven't even listed or sold a house in a neighborhood, to microfarm a neighborhood. So our system is built on the premise that where there is one for sale sign, there will be 3 to 5 more for sale signs in that neighborhood in the next, 3 to 12 months. And so, Ryan, if you look at, if you had a sale in a neighborhood, even if it was 6 months ago, how do you leverage that one listing? I remember when I got my license, I was taught I should sell 3 to 5 houses off of every listing. And I think so much technology that has helped our industry, but also turned us into this transaction based. We've we missed that. And because, oh, Sherri, the houses sell so fast, I can't do an open house, or I can't do. Actually, you can plan and execute a very intentional, like, strategy that will actually create more referrals. And our system creates referrals like 7 to 9 pieces of business before the sign is even put up. So
Yeah.
how we kind of look at this, and what I like so much is we are, very much in sync on how we share and teach this. But before you list a house, do you call the entire neighborhood? I mean, once you have a listing agreement signed and you have X number of hours before you can put it in the MLS, everybody's got a sort of a different set of rules. But following the rules of the MLS, you can pre-market that home and call neighbors and say, hey, this is Sherri Johnson from XYZ company. I wanted to let you know that I have 2 reasons for my call. Let's say I'm calling Jen, and I say, Jen, it's Sherri Johnson calling. I want to let you know that I've just listed your neighbor's property at 147, Woodrush Street, and it's listed for $498. And she says, oh, I didn't see the sign. And you're going to say, no, you haven't, because it hasn't gone up yet. And the reason I'm calling is I wanted to see if you had a friend, coworker, or family member that I could show it to. And so now Jen is like, oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law want to live here. Right. And she says, I'll get call my sister-in-law, Jill. Great. What's the best way to get a hold of Jill? I can get her in before the open house, right? I can get her in as soon as possible, creating urgency and making it special. It's funny. The neighbors actually say to our clients, and when I used to do this, thank you for telling me about it first. First of all, that's like a really cool thing. And secondly, you're going to get that referral, right? You're going to get that showing. The seller thinks you're a rock star because you're already showing the property. If Jill and her husband, Bob, don't like the property, you've just picked them up as a potential buyer. They probably have a house to sell. Okay. So now we're creating referrals for ourselves. What usually happens, by the way, is in the 5, we cover 5 people on their side of the house and, another 10. So you're looking at, calling about 20 people. And if you break it down into just 20 people, now it's manageable. It's manageable. It's not daunting. It's not, how am I going to ever make all those calls? Break it into 20 people and then say, the other reason for my call is that invariably, every time I list or sell a house, I find that 2 to 3 more people in the neighborhood are thinking about selling as well. So I thought I might ask you if you were one of them, and if I could offer you a price opinion of your home, whether you're thinking about selling or not. And so those 2 reasons are going to be why I call these people. Now, we sort of had this system called the 5-5-10, 5 on each side, 10 across the street. And I call it like the 5-5-10 times 5, because we're going to contact those people 5 times. Once to tell them the house is listed, once to invite them to the open house. That might be the same call. Once to tell them it's under contract. If there's a price change, as we see prices changing right now, if there's a price change, you're calling for that. You're calling to let them know it's under contract. And of course, Ryan, what they're going to want to know when you say it's under contract is, what did it sell for? And so you'll be able to say, I can't share that with you now, but rest assured, I'll call you again when it closes, and I'll let you know who your neighbors are. So we're making 5 contacts, sending 5 postcards. Okay. Even if you just did 3, 3 out of those 5, you're making connections with people. And now there's a voice and a personality and your impactful, magnetic personality that they're going to love. And so invite them to the open house. Like, nosy neighbors are future clients. And so if you would say, hey, you know what, while I have you on the phone, I'm going to have this open Sunday from 1 to 2 is the neighborhood preview. From, 2 to 5 is the open house for the public. Bring your friends. Come. I'd love to meet you. Right. And so I laugh because what I want to say is, like, of course, this in my example, I give, there's a positive referral. Yes, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law would love to live in this neighborhood. They're always here. They want to move here. Great. I get Jill's number. Now, what could happen, what most agents do is they slap the sign up, they put it in the MLS, right? And Jennifer, the neighbor's driving home. She sees my sign. She calls her sister-in-law, Jill, and she says, hey, 147 Woodrush Street is now on the market. I don't know what it's listed at. I just saw the sign. Go look it up. She's not saying, hey, Sherri Johnson's the listing agent. Here's her phone number.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. She's going to say, go look it up. We all know where they're going to go, to the internet. And then the agent is like, oh, look, I have a showing.
Yeah.
And I always say to the agent, that could have been your showing. Yep. Right. 100%. And so we can be really intentional and strategic and like put a plan in place that, you know, brings us 6 to 7 more people. In fact, you know, between the time you put the sign up, you know, I have the listing, I make some calls, I put the sign up, I canvass the neighborhood with either door hangers or myself and just, you know, walk around and say hello to people. One of our members, coaching members, literally had 9 pieces of business between Wednesday and Saturday. She put the sign up on Thursday, but Friday, she started calling everybody, and she picked up 9 pieces of business. I'm sorry, it was 7 pieces of business. It was $90,000 of potential business. Wow. So she picked up 3 couples that all had a house to sell, a for sale by owner, right, and a referral.
Yeah,
and it was like, it added up to $90,000 of business. So if you go through, you know, everyone likes to say, well, why do we put the sign up so fast? I mean, honestly, people want what they can't have. And when I call the neighbors and I say, do you know, I have a friend, you know, when you ask for referrals, we got to break it into like groups, a friend, coworker, family member, right? Or neighbor. In this case, I'm not going to ask a neighbor, but you could say a friend, family member, or coworker. And now those people are thinking about those people in their sphere that they know. A huge missed opportunity in that little period of time between when we get the listing and we put the sign up. And it's like, maximize that, because where there is one for sale sign, there will be, you know, 2 to 3 more in the next 3 to 12 months. And I always laugh about that too, because we don't, people see for sale signs and they say, you know, hey, honey, we should move. I want to move, right? And sometimes it takes 6, 8, 10 months or so before both parties wrap their head around the idea of moving and cleaning out that basement or that room that they can't stand, or just the, you know, factors that have to all sort of fall into place before they're ready to call you. We have taken over neighborhoods. We have helped people increase their average sale price by using this system. And it's all about going and finding and doing this. Like, you don't have to wait until you have a sale in a neighborhood. You can go find a neighborhood right now and go, you know, market the heck out of it. And you'll get a listing. Actually, it just takes that one listing. That's exactly. And it's just, you know, going deep and staying with those people for 5 postcards, hopefully, and 5 connections. And every time you call them, you know, hey, Jen, what's the best email? I can send you I'm happy to send you unsolicitedly a free price opinion on your home. Everybody wants that. Yeah. So, you know, it's just about being strategic and purposeful and not just slapping a sign up and putting it in the MLS. It's just that's how that system works. And, you know, by the end, if you'll have made with 20 people 5 times, right? You're making hundreds of contacts and connections between the postcards and between your phone calls, right? The best part about it is they're getting the card and they're saying Sherri Johnson to the garbage can, Sherri Johnson to the garbage can. And then they say, wait, I'm going to keep this one. Or now when I add that awesome piece of like actually having a live conversation with Sherri Johnson agent, I actually now have an opportunity as the agent to dig in deep and see if they are interested or in the future. And, you know, everybody listening, you can ask people like, are you thinking about moving now or in the next 6 to 12 months or even a year or 2 years out? And that's okay. Put them on the goal, put them on your pipeline, right? If you put them on the pipeline, I would leave someone on my pipeline for a year or 18 months because I need future business. That's exactly. Right. And you just can't.
I say it all the time. I say, I'd rather have 18 months to build a relationship with someone than 18 days. So if you have that time to talk to them, send stuff to them, continually grow the relationship with them, it's a lot easier to convert that lead than it is just look for that just now business.
Exactly. And I think it's just so I always say opportunities are not lost. They go to someone else.
Exactly.
It's the worst phrase, but it's so true. You know, that listing that those people, you didn't think they were serious. And, 2 weeks later, there's a sign in the yard or it's in the MLS and you're just having whiplash going like, how did this happen? Well, we took what they said for face value and thought they weren't interested. But micro farming can be, we have agents that make $100,000 on this in 5 months.
Yeah.
If you are an agent out there who has Remind as part of your MLS, I mean, that is the easiest solution for how to find these people's names and addresses. I mean, Ryan, you hear this all the time. Where do we get the names? Where do we get the addresses?
Yeah.
Remind is a source within your MLSs that if you have it, what a gift, because my agent, Julie Bertain, she did $100,000 from January through May 31st in closed business. I don't even know what it is now. $100,000 of her several hundred she made the first 5 months just on micro farming alone.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you too, and she wouldn't mind me saying this. I mean, she was kicking and screaming for like, I don't know, the first 2 years of coaching. She didn't want to do it, and now she's like, she bought her own house from doing it. I mean, one of the things that was so cool about this is she actually, through finding, trying to find homes for her buyers, which is how we use micro farming as well. She found a house for her and her fiance, now husband, and they live in that house because she did the same
That's awesome.
system for how to find, listings. So I just think it's a matter of like putting in a plan, being strategic, being on purpose, and then maximizing all these opportunities.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that it's better, in my wholehearted belief, that I'd rather have less people with more touch points than more people with less touch points. I'd rather have 20 people that you touch 5 times than 100 people you do once. And I use my friend Adam all the time, and he was one of the guys that helped get started with his farm, and he had an area of 280 homes, and people laughed at him and said, like, it's too small of a farm, you have to go bigger. And I share the story all the time that he ended up, in his first full year of farming that area, he ended up doing 8 out of the 11 sales in that farm because he was so focused. He put his time and his attention and resources in that little area. He became rookie of the year at our office because he was so focused on that. And I've seen agents try to farm 5,000 homes and not even be able to get that many deals. And that's those touches, when it's personal, when it's intentional, when you're more focused on it, you'll get way more from that than just trying to blast to everyone, because you're not going to get the same response. So you're able to start small, and if you want, you can scale up. But yeah, the micro farming is a huge opportunity if you do it correctly.
Amen. And when sort of that, there are a lot of coaches that say, if people don't respond after the 3rd time, drop them. And I'm like, no, every single lead. I nurture that thing till, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever.
Yep.
I kept in touch with someone for 11 months and they never, the term I guess now is ghosted, but here's, they would ghost me. They didn't answer. They never took me up on going out to look at listings. And I would say, hey, it's Sherri Johnson. I sent you listings. I'm available these 2 days or whatever. And then it got to the point where I was laughing and I would say, if you want me to stop calling, let me know. Ha ha ha. I'm not going to stop, but if you want, and they never told me to stop calling. So I just kept calling and saying, hey, when you're ready. Hey, when you're ready. 11 months later, they called me and said, you are the only agent who stayed in touch with us. We know 12 realtors and we want to work with you. And it's like a fortune is in the follow-up, even if it takes whatever. They ended up, by the way, buying, listing and selling with me, and in less than 2 years doing it again. And I think the house I sold them was like 450 and they bought 650 the second time. So It's like, a lot of income and a lot of sales behind nurturing the people you have. And you're right. The smaller group can yield more. I love that story that 8 out of 10 or whatever it was were his. And that's exactly the point. By the way, too, I want to point out, even if you're like, oh, so-and-so owns this neighborhood. No, I had a rookie agent who in 2009, she did $4.8 million or some crazy thing in a lower price point. I mean, not low, but like 250 average. Yeah. And she was like, if this is we all told her it was such a bad year. She's like, if this was a bad year, I can't wait to see what a good year is, because that was her first year. And it was like the year we never talk about. And what she did was she took this farming concept and this micro farming concept, and she went into a neighborhood where there was someone there who owned it for years, and she had a better value proposition. And it It was better, but it was also consistency.
Yep.
It was, just not being afraid. Like part of it is if you have a neighborhood that you want to get into and it means going from 250 to 400, as long as the 400's turning over,
Yeah.
You could put a plan together and, whether it's our plan or your plan, a plan
Yeah.
to be the best choice in that neighborhood. And you'll get, 15 out of the 30 sales or 15 out of the 25 sales, or better yet, 15 out of the 18 sales.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And it was weird because it was her second year and she ended up doing 8.5 million. But those deals, and this was in like I gave her one referral for $1.9 million in a golf course community. And she did microfarming in that whole community, bumped out the number one woman who'd been there for 30 years, 25 years.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, you can do this even as a rookie, you know?
I wholeheartedly.
I think the rookies have no fear too. It's like
Yeah.
they just do whatever you tell them. So
I want to go back to the point you said about the person who was hard to get a hold of, because I think that's really important, because a lot of agents think that the ones that are hard to get a hold of are not good. And like you said, I think, and I've said this many, many times, they're actually the better ones, because I've had hundreds of conversations with people who would love to talk to you and they'll talk to you all day long, but they love to talk to everyone. So every agent who talks to them, they'll have that conversation with. Everyone who they meet, they'll have that conversation with. And it's not a hard thing to get a person who likes to talk. If you can follow up with the person who doesn't like to talk to you and add value to them, stay in touch with them. Like you said, you were the only one who stayed up with them. There's more value in those people than the super social people. And I've seen that play out many times in agents that I've helped with my own life. And there is value in that. And that's, like I said, the follow-up is so important, but you have to be consistent, like you said, and you have to stick with it. The other thing I think, which is important, is you mentioning the starting in that small area where even if there's competition, generally the big agents aren't going at that hyper local or that super small level. They're doing, once they get to a bigger point, they're just blasting out stuff and they're not doing that hyper focus. And that's where you can stand out. Even if you don't even have to have anything super fancy, it just has to have relationships and an opportunity to connect with people. And if you do that at a purposefully small scale, you'll be able to connect with people and steal those extra deals that those agents would have got.
absolutely. And you just reminded me, we actually teach that you can microfarm your personal database as well and go by zip code. So what I mean by that is every time you list or sell anything in the zip code, the entire sphere list in that zip code gets notified.
Yeah.
Another busy month, another list, we just sold another one. And the microfarming of your sphere is like, okay, take your sphere and microfarm the sphere. It's not neighborhood, but you're going to go into, 44022 and everyone in that neighborhood, and that zip code is going to find out and know that you are the one selling everything in the 44022.
Yeah.
Very impactful. And again, those people, that message is a little different. Who do you know that I can show this house to? Your friends, family member, coworker or neighbor or someone you know. So those are a little bit more referral based through your own sphere, because you don't really think your sphere is buying those houses. But what you're doing is constantly staying in touch with your sphere, and they know that you have sold like everything in the 44022, which is really impactful as well. And I like that you said the people that are hard to get a hold of aren't talking to as many people. I hadn't even thought of that. And it just makes so much sense. I know from my own experience, and I've watched this with agents, we can't, if there's a will, there's a way, and you have to be so tenacious and really persevering, I think is the word here, because it's not about like, I wish every single lead was an A lead, but they're not. And that's kind of okay, because if you think about it, agents, I don't care if you're doing, 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 million right now, or you're doing 5 million or 3 million, we all need future business. And if you can, I mean, I love when someone says, I'm not ready for 2 years. I'm like, okay, well, 2 years isn't going to be 2 years. First of all, it'll be sooner than that. Yeah. And I'm going to be the one that maximizes that opportunity, because I'm going to stay in touch with them at whatever expense, at whatever cost. But yet at the same time, I think people have we just take what people say. I had this one agent, she lost a listing opportunity. She said, I'm going to call them in a month. They're not ready. And I said, I would call them next week.
Yeah, exactly.
And she said, well, I'm going to call in a month because I told them a month. And I said, they aren't going to remember that you said a month. Just call them back and say, hey, I'm checking in. Well, she didn't do anything. And 2 weeks later, that listing was listed with another agent in our office. And, I saw Patty look like, how'd this happen? And she wasn't mad at the other agent, Ryan. She wasn't mad at herself quite yet. She was actually mad at the seller because she said, they lied to me.
Yeah.
And I said, no, they were just talking and you believed them.
Yep.
Like they didn't lie to you. They were just talking and you believed them. So sometimes we got to like sift through what people are saying, sometimes it's okay to put the conversation on hold, just park it for a minute and realize they probably have 15 minutes before you called them, had some stressful kid or work situation going on. They don't want to talk about this. It's a bad time. It doesn't mean it's done. It just means park it for a minute and come back to it. I think there are so often, if someone doesn't want to do something right now, we're discounting them. And you need, the reason people have up and down inconsistencies is because they discount all these people. They're only giving their time and attention to the 4 people who want to do something right now. And what happens if those 3 or 4 people don't pan out?
Yep.
There's a big zero.
Exactly.
And you can't have a zero because
exactly.
you made commitments to your spouses and your partners and whoever you live with, and you're going to make some money. And you didn't do this to just sell 12 houses a year. So I say this all the time. It sounds kind of crazy. And, I guess I am the coach you kind of love to hate and love because I just say, if I'm not selling a house a week, like I say to agents all the time, if you're not selling a house a week, I don't know what you're doing with your time, and this is a business where the greatest thing about it is it's flexible. And the worst thing about it is it's flexible. And that requires some discipline. And it requires if I'm going to go to the grocery store and I only have 10 minutes, I'm going to go in, get what I need and leave, and if I have an hour and a half, I'll shop and hang out and spend more time and expand my time into that hour and a half because I don't be anywhere. So if you had more business, if you had more people on your pipeline, if you had more conversations, then you would actually be spending less time. There's research. We're doing research for these 3 people for my whole 40-hour week. And it's like, you need more people, you need more conversations, you need, and you'll sell, 4 houses a month. And that's just like the difference between, my gosh, that's like, what does that do to you? What does that do to your financial picture with your life? I mean, it's a game changer, especially some of us, and then if we add the higher sale price, it's really great, and that just to me is that's where you can level up, take your business to a whole different level. And using microfarming on purpose like that will increase your average sale price.
Yeah.
That's one of our tools to increase average sale prices, our microfarming strategy, because that's where it's at. You want to be where the 50-pound salmon are, you got to be fishing where the 50-pound salmon are. Right?
Exactly.
If you're not in those neighborhoods, you're not gonna do it.
And I think it's important to come back to that. The microfarming allows you to leverage your leads and your time and get more. And so many agents they never get to the 4 deals a month because I've already sold the house. They're not putting a plan in place to leverage the listings they've got, the leads they've got. And it's very simple to do the work ahead of time. As long as you have a system in place and you follow it, you can then compound what you do. And it's the compounding effect that we have in this business that a lot of businesses don't have. For someone, if they're selling widgets, they just got to go out and sell another widget. With our business, we can take listings, take leads, take things like that, and leverage those to get more and exponentially grow it. But you have to be intentional with it. And like you said, you have to have that plan and be willing to do the work up front. Don't just stick the sign up on the lawn. Don't put it on MLS and hope it sells. That's the difference between an agent who does a few deals a year and a few deals a month, because you have to have that system in place to do that.
I have to laugh when the owner of our company said to me, he actually got me back to doing this. He said, why do you put the sign up so fast? And I was like, because I have a checklist and I'm really efficient.
Yeah.
And I have systems and I was like, are you crazy? Like, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Ryan, for the next 14 years that I coached agents on this system, I first did it myself. I went back to call the neighbors, call everyone make connections, get referrals, show that house, create urgency. If people want what they can't have.
Yeah.
It's just great. I want those leads. I want the spin-off business,
Yeah.
and I changed my philosophy, and I didn't put the sign up so fast. And I intentionally will tell you guys, listen, slow it down, be in charge of the, it's not up to the seller when the sign goes up. It's up to you. You're the marketing expert, and you're the one in charge. So it's up to you if there's an open house. Like, you don't have to list the house on a Monday and have it sold by Wednesday. You could list it on Friday or Saturday and have the open house and plan it the way you want, So be intentional, but be the one who's in charge. I mean, that's what we do. My attorney doesn't want me telling him what to do. It drives him nuts, So like, we're in charge. So when a seller says, I want this, I want that. I mean, we really have to think about like, okay, well, here's how this is how I create urgency. This is how I get showings, and nothing worse than putting it up in the MLS and having a bunch of showings from the neighborhood referrals.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just make you crazy? Those could have been your showings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that if they buy the house, great. If they don't, you've just picked up a new buyer and seller lead. And I mean, that's the best part of this whole thing. You'll pick up more business than you even ever thought of. So I hope everybody does this, because it's just, to me, it's like easy, just press the easy button and be more proactive and strategic. Nobody else is doing this. You said that earlier.
And I was just going to say that the next point is that there's ways to pick up extra or leads because other agents aren't willing to do that, and that you can borrow listings. You can advertise those listings. You could borrow buyers. I know a number of agents who've done really well where they talk to an agent in their office and say, hey, do you have any buyers looking for specific property, specific neighborhood? I'll call around and see if I can find them something, because a lot of agents get complacent. A lot of agents don't do marketing around their listing. So you could say, hey, I'm going to do some extra marketing around that listing. Would you be okay with it? Because they're not willing to do that. And if you're willing to do that, you can quickly speed up that process. You can quickly get those leads that those other agents would have left on the table. And you're the one getting those opportunities, and they're not, because they don't want to or don't have the time to do it. So you can't say there's not enough business, because there is, if you're willing to do the work. You have to be willing to do those things that most agents aren't. And that's the good thing. Most agents aren't willing to do those. So if you're willing to do those small things, you can have a huge impact.
You can also just do a postcard that says, these are the last 10 sales, have a really good, whatever we give our clients all the content on how to do this, and then the letter gets appointments. So we send out, I used to do this all the time. I'd send out 400 letters, 300 letters. I get 3 or 4 listing appointments, and the buyer that I was working with that can't find a house, we use microfarming for that.
Yeah.
We sell them one of the houses, and then the other 3 turn into listings. So, if you are walking around saying there's nothing in the MLS, I'm going to beg you to stop saying that. And I'd rather say to Ryan, my new client, hey, Ryan, hey, Nicole, I know you're probably concerned about listing your house and selling it because you don't know where you're going to go. I actually work differently, right? I actually go find you inventory. So there's not an inventory problem. We have lower than normal right now, but we've always had ups and downs in inventory. That's just normal. Did you ever notice, like, we can add fuel to the fire and add hair on fire, make people more fearful, which is what everyone did with, I could sell your house 17 times. Or we could say, oh yeah, no, you're concerned about where we're going to go. That's the easy part. I just need to know the 10 to 15 streets you want to live on, and I'll find you a house. That's what I do. And I'm going to re-engineer all of your brains, agents, that you can be the agent who goes out and finds the listing instead of saying there's nothing in the MLS, because
100%.
Just stop saying that. And I'd rather work with an agent who's resourceful.
Yeah.
And the confidence that you're going to give your buyer client and who wants to sell is that they're like, yeah, we're working with an agent who's like Jerry Maguire, who's going to go out and make, about 300 calls to find us a house. That's the kind of, difference you're making. That's the different. No other agent is saying that.
Yeah. And I find so many agents put their.
I also want to say.
Okay.
What's that?
I was going to say that a lot of agents put their marketing, all their eggs in one marketing basket when it comes to listings, but they don't do that for their buyers. And they leave so many opportunities because they're not willing to work for their buyers in a different way. They put them on a drip on their MLS system and then hope that something comes up. And I always tell agents, it's part of the things I teach them in farming is that you have just as much opportunity to get deals from a buyer as you do as a seller if you do it correctly. If you are willing to prospect for them, if you're willing to do online social ads for them, if you're willing to send out letters for them, if you're willing to reach out to your database, and if you do that correctly, you're going to expand your reach. You're going to show their clients that you're working for them. You're going to show that the neighborhood that you're farming, that you're working for your clients, and it will compound, but you have to be willing to do that. And so many agents just go, well, I'll set you up on a drip. And that's their value add when they're meeting with a buyer. And I say, you're leaving buyers on the table because all you're saying is, well, I'll set you up on a drip. And every agent's saying that. So you got to be different. You got to add value to them. And that buyer, 65% chance has a listing to sell. So if you do it right on the buy side and the sell side, you can really go from 1 deal a month to 4 deals a month just with some simple tweaks.
Plus, if you send out a letter or an email in Remind, crafted really well, that says you're working with a pre-approved buyer who's ready to go, you will get at least one. We find with my letter, we get, between 3 and 4 appointments. You're going to find that, the other thing, I'll bring that up in a second, but if you send out that letter and you get those 3 to 4 appointments for one buyer client, I sold one of them myself. I was humble. I double-sided it because I took the listing credit, and I got 3 new listings. So it was 4 for 4.
Yeah.
How effective are we? What's our strategy? Yeah. Do you have a strategy or just kind of wing?
Exactly.
And I wanted to tell you too, Julie Bertain was very, very good about one thing, and she continues to do this microfarming now in Atlanta. But she said she said she kept changing her cards, and she said she went to consistency, and she really felt that the consistency of every time they saw her card, it had the same her logo, the company logo, and everything on it, and the messaging, instead of trying to like reinvent everything. Just that consistency was really big in those postcards. And then also, again, don't forget to think, how can I market this property sort of in a pre-marketing phase, whether it's coming soon. I kind of don't, this works with coming soon, but I feel like once you put a coming soon sign up, you might as well just have it up, in my opinion. Cleveland, we got rid of coming soon like last month because everybody was like, this is, but again, it's how you work it.
Yeah.
We were also very effective at pre-marketing the houses. Again, you're not telling people they can't show it. I'm saying if they don't like it, I'm picking up all those buyers by doing this activity. So it's really like, killing 3 or 4 birds with one stone. You're getting all this activity and it just snowballs. Like you said, the compounding nature of it is that it just mushrooms and you get more business from that one listing. Ryan, you may not know this, but I have a course called Make 50 Grand at Your Next Open House. And that's it's because if you do it right, you should pick up at least $50,000 of buyer and seller leads from an open house if you do it right. Same thing with microfarming. We're here to teach you this so that you can create more opportunities to put on what I call the gold mine pipeline. But it's an awesome tool, and I think it's underrated and not used enough. And I just love that we're having this conversation because I think so many people hopefully will listen to this and really love it. So
awesome. So we always wrap up with a best piece of advice. So what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who's thinking about getting into microfarming or adding this into their business?
So the best piece, my best advice is I have 2. One is learn the microfarming tool, learn any type of farming. Okay. Whether it's a farming strategy from Ryan or it's ours or somebody's, right? Just start doing this because it will work. If you fail the first time, just keep going with it. Don't give up. A lot of agents will try something once, and if it doesn't work immediately, they give up. Sometimes it's just you sent to a few of cards. Maybe it was just the wrong neighborhood. So it's really not a one and done project. I want you to like give this your all. Get some help if you need to before that. But my second piece of advice, which is the best advice I can give any agent, is to focus on getting listing appointments every single week. Have a goal for how many listing appointments you have to have on your calendar every week. Because if you create listing appointments for yourself, the rest will all take care of itself. Because we're going on listing appointments, And I don't mean the ones where you're signing the docs. Those are great.
Yeah.
Even the pre-listing listing appointments are important. So talk to people, focus on appointment setting, and focus on listings, and focus on going after, even if you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. You're new, you're experienced, and you've always worked with buyers. You can work with 3 sellers to every 1 buyer.
Yeah.
On a time cost analysis when you look at your ROI on your time. So all you have to do is master the art of talking to a seller, and you won't be scared of sellers anymore. And you'll actually realize that the agents who focus on listings have more time.
Yep.
They are less chaos. They're not run ragged. It's a different challenge. It's a different conversation. But every time I put a sign up, I'm probably going to make a commission. I'm going to make a sale, most likely. And with a buyer, it's just, you just never know. And especially
Yes.
in the last few months, or 18 months, it's been like, my goodness, the number of people have told us, I have to now, after 15 years, I focus on buyers. Now I understand. It's not too late. You can learn it. If you're new, focus on listings, but have a goal to get your first 10 listings. I know that sounds crazy, but it's really not. I listed 27 houses my first year.
Wow.
Without a sphere. Like I didn't have anybody referring anything to me.
Yeah.
So you can do whatever you want. And just have that attitude that, I'm going to list to sell a house this week. I just don't know the address yet. That's my best advice. And
Awesome.
I wish everybody the best. Love it.
That's awesome. And what's one best book that you'd recommend that's had an impact on your life or would have an impact on your viewers?
So I've had a couple. The best book, I think, for agents is one that was passed on to me by a really top agent in Cleveland. And his name of the book is 4DX. It's 4 Disciplines of Execution.
Yes. Love that book.
Great book. And I think the reason I like it is agents are always focused on like what they did and what they closed and in the rearview mirror stuff. And like, we got to go where we're going. Like you're only as good as your last sale.
Yeah.
And this book will help you get rid of sort of that minutia, the whirlwind, and like, it will really focus you on like 3 main KPIs or WIGs or whatever, and just focus on those numbers and what are they. And, one of them's got to be listings in my case of advice, but that book will help you really narrow down and get rid of the distractions and get focused and really change your life. I would suggest it at any time you're hearing this podcast, but this is like a book to reread, in the 4th quarter for next year. But it's going to change your life. And it's the 4 Disciplines of Execution. Sean Covey is one of the co-authors, and he is the son of the late Dr. Stephen Covey. So it's a really, really proactive approach. And I think it will help you run your business really, really well.
Yeah, I love that book. It's one of my favorites. And it same thing, like you said, it helps you really figure out what you need to focus on and not what you did. And it really helps you come up with that system and a plan to do that. And it's really reframed how you look at the business, which is awesome. So we'll put that in the show notes so people can check that out.
Awesome.
And if people want to connect with you, find out what you're up to and what kind of programs you're offering, how can they do that?
Awesome. Thanks. Well, first of all, I invite you to listen to my podcast, which is You Rock, a real estate podcast with Sherri Johnson. We just hit 5,000 downloads. I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then, we have an academy, Sherri Johnson Academy. If you go to sherrijohnson.com, you can check out all of our coaching, the one-to-one coaching, we have a program that is it's like a monthly subscription, Ryan, that is free for the first month. It's www.sherrisplaybook.com. Actually, it's sherrisfreeplaybook.com. I'll put it in the chat. And it is free for the first month with giving you access to the Sherri Johnson Academy courses. The courses you get like 15 courses initially, and then several each month. You also get their quick how-to videos, like 7 to 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes tops, and all these strategies. You'll also get the microfarming is in there. Yes. It's free the first month. It's $99 a month after, and it comes with 1 live coaching session a month with me. That's like a Q&A group call, and we record those so you can watch them again or watch them if you missed them. But go to sherrisfreeplaybook.com and you can register. Your first 30 days are free. And then again, if you want anything on one-to-one coaching, I would go to sherrijohnson.com, and we'd love to have you request a 30-minute strategy call with us. We'll talk about your business, what's happening, how we can help you, and how we can get you where you want to go quickly. So that's where.
Awesome. We'll put those in the show notes, and we'll definitely have to check that out. I know you coach a lot of agents, a lot of top agents, and I know you've got a lot of great value and good perspective on farming. And I appreciate that, because there's not a lot of people out there doing good training on farming. So I'm happy to see other coaches and trainers sharing the love of farming. So that's awesome. So thank you for sharing your insight and your wisdom and your experience, and the wisdom you've learned from your coaching clients as well with our audience, because I know they're going to really appreciate that. And hopefully they'll start looking at micro farming as an opportunity for them and their business, and seeing the success as well.
Awesome. Well, and I wish everyone the best. Just the best thing you can do is, when you hear these great ideas, actually implement them.
Yes, exactly.
And the action that you take, you're going to love. And you know, the action just breeds more success, and success is contagious, and it just keeps going from there. So thanks for having me. And I'd want to say, Ryan is on my podcast. So
yes.
There's an episode, and I don't know the number, but we've got about 50 episodes. He is fantastic. You can go listen to him on the Sherri Johnson You Rock podcast as well, and put a plug in for that. And, just again, you got to put this stuff into action, and the results will happen. And the next thing you know, you'll be selling a house a week. So thanks for having me again.
Awesome. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for checking out today's episode. If you'd like more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook page and our other social media channels. Looking forward to bringing you more great content like this, and happy farming.